G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another awesome golf and Rapsodo video. Today I'm going to be talking about something that is really important, and it's something that I practice quite a lot. I should practice it more, and that is my wedge matrix. Now, what is a wedge matrix? Why do you need one? And how is it going to help your game? So what a wedge matrix is, it's learning how far your wedges go with certain swings. I work off left arm parallel to the ground, 3/4, and then a full swing with each one of my wedges. I actually do this down to 9-iron because I still use those shots in certain situations. And what that will give you guys is something that you can reference to when you're trying to play a yardage. We're talking about carry yardage today. I'm not fussed with how far the shot actually ends up, because depending on which software you use, or if you're outside, depending on how soft the greens are, how hard the greens are, that's going to determine total length. All I'm focused on when I do my wedge matrix is carry yardage. And what it's going to do is give you something to reference. So if I do a half swing with my lob wedge, for instance, or left arm parallel to the ground, I know that goes 60 yards. If I do a 3/4 swing with my lob wedge, I know that goes 79 yards. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk through how I built my wedge matrix and then how I use it when I'm playing, not only in the simulator, but outside on the course. This has helped me so much playing in the real world to get those wedge shots close and to lower my scores. All right, so let's jump in today. We are using Awesome Golf and we're using the Rapsodo. We know that the Rapsodo is highly accurate, and we know that Awesome Golf is the best software when it comes to iOS. So let's jump in. I'm going to head out to the coaching section. So you've got a couple of different options with Awesome Golf, and I'm going to go through all of them. The club distance is really good for dialing in your bag, or mapping your bag. But what I'm going to use today is I'm just going to go to the coaching section, and I'm going to select lob wedge, and I'm just going to enter in my description. I'm just going to go left arm parallel. Done. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit 10 shots, and the focus of this is to keep my left arm parallel to the ground on my backswing. So how I do these shots, so when I'm setting up for these shots, I always put my feet quite close together, because what that does for me is if I have my feet close together, it keeps my tempo slow, it keeps it smooth. If I stand with my normal stance, I can swing quite hard, and it's going to be hard for me to judge my tempo and get my tempo the same every single time. What you got to remember with these shots is, because we're taking out variables now, so we're taking out swing length. Swing length is hopefully going to be pretty consistent. We're going to try and get our left arm parallel to the ground on every single shot. So we've taken out swing length as a variable. Now the other variables that are there are tempo, how hard you swing, and also vertical launch angle. So vertical launch angle, we want to keep that consistent, because if you come through with the same speed, so the same tempo and the same swing length, so with those two being consistent, your ball speed's going to be consistent. The only other variable there is how high or low you hit the ball. And if you think of it like, when I taught people, I said, if you think of it like a cannonball being shot out of a cannon, it's going to come out with consistent speed. So it's going to have consistent ball speed, and how high or low you raise that cannon is going to directly impact how far that cannonball goes. And it's the same thing with these shots. So we're going to try and eliminate swing length as a variable, and then by having our feet close together, hopefully that should eliminate to a certain extent tempo. And then all we're left with is the vertical launch angle. Now the biggest thing is going to be tempo on these shots, and especially under pressure, you're going to find that you swing a little bit harder. All right, so feet close together. And now all I'm trying to do is get my left arm parallel to the ground like that, and then swing with a nice smooth tempo. And we're off to a good start. Okay, let's try that again. Feet close together, left arm parallel to the ground. Okay, the contact wasn't great, but we'll see how far that shot goes. Okay, it's gone 65. So for me, that's a little long. 60 yards is my left arm parallel shot with my 60 degree. So we'll do a couple more. And if you're doing this at home, I would recommend doing about 10 shots with each swing. I'm going to do 3 just to expedite the video, but 10 shots, at least 10 shots, is going to give you a really good idea of how far these wedges go. I also, on my practice swing, outside or inside, I always give myself a reference for the shot. So that's my little pre-shot routine. Okay, that was decent. Should be about 60 yards. Cool, 56 yards. So a little bit short that time, overcompensated. So let's go for our third shot now. Feet close together, pre-shot routine, left arm parallel to the ground. Might be a little bit long. Cool, 62 yards. And that is pretty much my half swing, I'm gonna call it, or my left arm parallel to the ground with my 60 degree. Let's jump in now. This is what I love about Awesome Golf. Let's jump into this table. So we can see there, we've got our club head speed, ball speed. The thing we're focused on though is carry distance. And what you can see there, yes, I hit one long, I hit one short. You're gonna get better averages when you hit 10 or more shots, but I can see there that my left arm parallel with my 60 degree is carrying 61 yards. So that's pretty good because 60 yards is my number. So that's my left arm parallel with my lob wedge. Now let's add a club and we're gonna go 3/4. And again, we're gonna choose lob wedge. So now I'm doing 3/4 shots with my lob wedge. And again, I have my feet close together because that'll keep my tempo the same. And with my 3/4 shot, I swing as far back until I start to feel tight. And that's my 3/4 swing there. All of these lengths of swing, they're just feels. So I say I want my left arm parallel to the ground. When you try and do that, you're potentially going to take it back a little bit further. That's fine. You're just trying to get the feel of that movement. And as long as you do it consistent every time, then that's fine. All right, so let's do our little 3/4 swing with lob wedge. And this should be 79 yards carry for me. I'm going to swing back till I start to feel really tight, and then I'm going to come down with nice tempo. Okay, not the best contact, if I'm honest. We'll see what we get. Okay, pretty close, 76 yards. So it wasn't too far off. Okay, we'll go again for that. So feet close together, nice smooth tempo, 3/4 swing. Okay, better contact. We'll see where that goes. It's just had a misread. Okay, not the best contact that time again. Might be a little short, around 74 yards. Okay, better contact. That one should be pretty close to 79. Probably about 78. 80, okay, so 80 yards, pretty good. Right, so let's jump in now. We'll have a look at the averages, and we can see there, lob wedge 3/4, carry distance 77 yards. So pretty close to my 79 yards that I was saying. The other thing that Awesome Golf does, and I love this about Awesome Golf, is you get standard deviation. So the deviation between all of those shots there was 2.7 yards. You can see from my left arm parallel shots, the deviation was 3.8, so it was a bigger deviation. The idea is to try and get that deviation as narrow or as close as possible. And what that means is you're hitting your yardage a lot more consistently. Let's have a look at vertical launch angle there. So vertical launch angle, I am pretty consistent with that, 27.9 and 27.8. Okay, final thing to do with the lob wedge is the full swing. So let's do that. Okay, decent swing. And we have 102 yards. Not the best strike. That'll probably be about 97, 96. 98. And we'll go one more. And again, that'll probably be about 102, 101. Wasn't a great strike. 101. Okay, so now I can go in. I can go lob wedge full swing. So carry distance of 100.4 yards, so 100 yards. So from there, I've got 3 reference points now. And whenever I have a shot that has a 60-yard shot, I know I can just take my lob wedge, do my half swing or my left arm parallel, and I know I'm going to hit that carry distance. What you got to remember is it is a carry distance. So depending on what green speed or green firmness you're playing is going to depend on where you have to land the shot. So you've got to build in a little bit of a calculation. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing now with my sand wedge and my gap wedge, and then I'll check back in and we'll go through the yardages. Right, I've been through all my clubs. I just finished up there with gap wedge. Now what you can see on Awesome Golf, I'm going to zoom in on this because this is pretty cool. You can actually see and this isn't carry distance, so this is with rollout, but you can actually see where each shot went, and you can see where you have gaps, if you do have gaps in these shots. Mine all look pretty good. They cover from about 60 yards all the way through to 120 yards, and they're quite evenly spaced. What we're going to do now is we're going to go through the list, and we're just going to write down all of our average carry distances. So I know my lob wedge on a left arm parallel goes 61 yards, on a 3/4 it goes 77, on a full shot it goes 100, and then I got my sand wedge, and I can go, right, my sand wedge goes 70 or 71 yards left arm parallel, it goes 86 when I do 3/4, it goes 108 when I do a full swing. And the same for gap wedge, 84 or 85, 102 and 119. And then on top of that, you can really get into the nuts and bolts of this, and you can go, okay, what's my best yardage in terms of standard deviation? So I can go through and go, my gap wedge is actually really tight on my 3/4 shots and my full shots. It had a yard difference between all of the shots on my gap wedge 3/4 and full. Sand wedge 3/4 is pretty good. Sand wedge full's pretty good. Then I go down into my lob wedge. Now, my full was pretty good. It's had a 1.2 yards deviation. Going into these left arm parallel and left arm 3/4 shots with my lob wedge. Now, it was the first one I hit, so potentially there was a little bit of warm up going on there, but the deviation there is quite big when you look at it compared to the other clubs. So maybe getting it close to the green and using my lob wedge isn't such a good idea. Maybe I should be laying back and taking my sand wedge or my gap wedge. My gap wedge seemed to be pretty good on those shots. So once you've got all that information, I just have a book, and I've had this book since I got my launch monitor, so about a year. I initially did this with my Garmin, and the yardages are still correct. So these are the yardages I made up. I do have, like I said, I did pitching wedge and 9-iron, and you can see all the yardages just on a scratched out notepad there. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make it a bit neater, so when I do go play outside, I have something that's a bit more neat and a bit easier to digest. But doing a wedge matrix will improve your game out of sight. It will improve your game out of sight. Even if you have, say, a shot that's in between those yardages, you can just slightly adjust the length of your swing, and you're going to, more often than not, hit it the correct yardage. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, let me know. If you got any questions about this, let me know, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.